A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for creating time for us for KBC Lunchtime News. Now, let me take you back a bit. About 5 months ago, places of worship were closed. This is a few days after we had recorded the first positive case of coronavirus in our country. A lot of talks have been going on in the country among different religious leaders coming from different denominations who are complying with the Ministry of Health together with the Ministry of Interior just to come up with an amicable way forward on how to safely reopen the places of worship. Now today, for the very first time, and since the start of this week, there has been quite a number of steps that have been taken to make sure that the places of worship reopen in a way that would adhere to the guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health. Now on the first Sunday, that is today, we have our reporters in different parts of Kenya just to follow up on how the progress is with regards to the reopening of churches. We'll be giving you details about what transpired this particular morning in our comprehensive news bulletin that begins right now. A very good afternoon once again. My name is Serfine Achieng, and of course we kick off with the report that Christians across the country turned up in places of worship Sunday as churches conducted their services in strict adherence to the COVID-19 precautionary guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health. Now, the development coming even as religious leaders implored on the government to allow children and the elderly in the society to attend church services. Thousands of worshippers turned out to attend Sunday service across the country, albeit with caution, after about 5 months since places of worship were closed as part of a raft of measures put in place by the government to contain the spread of COVID-19. The bishop in charge of the Redeemed Gospel Churches in Mount Kenya South, Dr. Samuel Nginyi, was in Embu, where he presided over Sunday service, which was conducted in strict adherence to the COVID-19 precautionary guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health.
These days, people are ready to receive what comes. The update of COVID-19. You cannot remain clean by the message from the COVID-19 update. Oh, hallelujah. You only remain clean after you have received the word of God.
While calling on the congregants to cooperate by adhering to the COVID-19 precautionary guidelines, the bishop urged the government to relook into the decision barring children from attending the service. The chair of the Chamber of Commerce Embu chapter, John Mugomate, cautioning adults allowed to attend religious gatherings to take caution so as to avoid the deadly virus spreading to children back at home.
Niko na hakika kuna wataalamu, mabishop weko pale wanachunguza hii mambo, maimamu weko pale wanachunguza hii mambo, depending on the discipline that the church can put.
The situation was similar in Bungoma County. At the Christ the King Church, Bungoma Cathedral Church, members were required to formally register using their national identity cards before being allowed to attend service. While thanking the President Uhuru Kenyatta for allowing places of worship to reopen, Father Christopher Wanyonyi called on the need to allow the elderly members of the society to also attend the services.
Sio kwamba tuna serikali haitaki wazee wakuje kanisani, lakini nao pia wapangiwe nafasi yao bila kuchanganyika na watu wengine. Hata watoto pia hawa na nafasi yao bila kuchanganyika na watu wengine. Hii yote ni kuona kwamba makanisa isiwe nafasi ama sehemu ya kupata watu wetu wapate kuambukiza virusi hivi.
The doors of the Anglican Church, Bungoma Diocese, will however remain closed until further notice. The provost in charge, Wycliffe Ademba, says the decision was made following the surge in the number of positive cases and fatalities in the country.
Following the cases that have come up and also looking at the cases, the way they are rising up, looking at how the death rate is also coming up, we feel that we should not actually just endanger our Christians for the sake of just coming to the church.
In Baringo County, only a handful of Christians attended church service after weeks of getting nourishment from online platforms at their homes, with churches following the stipulated protocols issued by the government. Reverend Joshua Katamei of the African Inland Church, Kabarnet, said that 58 congregants attended the service, even as he lauded the government for reopening churches, saying it was a bold move to bring people together despite the soaring number of positive cases.
We have missed actually praying together. We have missed, worshiping together, even having closer fellowship. So today is a joyous day for all of us.
We thank the government kutupe opportunity pia ya kurudia service that period of 1 hour. Though most of the people wanaona kama ni muda kidogo, but we thank God for that.
Still tracking the progress in the reopening of places of worship in the country. Serfine visited different churches right here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Currently, she is at the Parklands Baptist Church. She's joining us now live to give us the latest on what she has been able to see and what religious leaders are saying. A very good afternoon, Serfine. Kindly bring us up to speed with the situation at some of the churches you've visited, and even at Parklands Baptist Church. What is happening? How is the situation like?
Indeed, a very good afternoon, Serfine. We're coming to you live from Parklands Baptist here in Nairobi, just doing a spot check to determine how churches are coping with the new guidelines that were issued, or the directives that were given by President Uhuru Kenyatta, whereby it was directed that all churches to ensure that not to have more than 100 faithfuls in their churches, and the services should not go more than an hour. Any person who is beyond 15 years should not attend the church services, or below 13 years. Earlier on, we were at the Steward Pentecostal Church in Kariobangi, whereby we were able to go through the service there, whereby we arrived at around 11 a.m. and the service ended at exactly 12 noontime, and we were also able to by President Uhuru Kenyatta is not enough, calling on the government to give them more time for the service. The number that be given enough time, and we're also able to determine that all the seats in the church were marked just as the same here at the Parklands Baptist Church. As you can see, most of the seats here have been marked.
All right, we are facing quite a bit of a signal issue there with that link with Serfine. We'll be getting back to that as soon as we get a better link. But then now, moving on to what is happening in across the counties, at least 8 remandees held in various police cells in Thika, Ruiru and Makongeni have tested positive for coronavirus. Kiambu County Police Commander Ali Nuno says the 3 police officers also working within Kiambu County have also tested positive for the virus following mass testing undertaken within the region, targeting security officers and those held in police cells. Police officers are among those in the front line in the fight against COVID-19, exposing them to possible infection. Such is the case in Kiambu County, where 3 police officers have tested positive for the deadly virus. 2 of the officers are from Ruiru, while a police driver from Karori Police Station is recuperating at Kenyatta National Hospital, having tested positive. County Police Commander Ali Nuno says the cases of COVID-19 infections in the county continue to rise, with 8 remandees held at various police stations within the county having also tested positive for the disease, while 68 who have already been screened are awaiting their results. 25 police officers who were tested from Thika and Makongeni police stations are also awaiting their results. The police boss saying no more prisoners will be allowed at Thika police cells following the outbreak of the disease.
For example, in Thika, we have about 70 prisoners. 2 have tested positive, and the 68 have been tested. We are waiting the results. So there has been an upsurge in incidence of COVID-19 positive cases in the entire Kiambu County. And this is attributed on our lifestyles.
In the meantime, Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang says colleges that will not have complied with the COVID-19 academic regulations by September will not open their doors to students. Speaking at Narok Teachers College, Kipsang said the government will not risk the health of its students.
It's not a must that all colleges open. Those who will have been prepared and ready to open will open. Those who will not be ready to open, for sure, we shall not allow. We shall not expose any of our students. So each of the colleges must make sure that they are ready.
Beatrice Gatonyingetich, Channel 1 News.
And now moving on to other matters, the National Gender-Based Violence Hotline has registered increased cases of sexual and gender-based violence since the coronavirus pandemic was first reported in the country in the month of March. Speaking during the launch of a report dubbed Trapped Within the Lockdown, Public Service and Gender Cabinet Secretary Professor Margaret Kobia said the escalating numbers, especially among young children, is a worrying trend, as many perpetrators are people who should be offering protection to the vulnerable group.
Gender-based violence continued to escalate in the country, with containment measures instituted to curb the spread of the coronavirus pandemic, isolating victims even further, and often keeping victims in close proximity with their violators. Speaking during the launch of a sexual and gender-based violence report titled Trapped Within a Lockdown, Understanding Sexual and Gender-Based Violence, Public Service and Gender Cabinet Secretary Margaret Kobia said the National Gender-Based Violence Hotline has registered a 45% increase with violence on women, accounting for 67%.
There is high prevalence of GBV cases in Nairobi, Kakamega, Kisumu, Nakuru, Kiambu, all those counties. Those who are reporting very low numbers of sexual and gender-based cases include Isiolo, Samburu, Tarakaniti, Arisa, and Marsabit.
Kobia noting that children are also facing increased cases of physical, emotional and sexual violence, with perpetrators majorly being people known to them and in certain instances, people who should be protecting them.
By launching this report, the Association of Professional Criminology of Kenya has focused a spotlight on this problem that needs a deliberate, case-specific intervention.
Deputy Inspector General of Police Edward Mbugwa urging members of public not to remain silent and instead report any forms of sexual and gender-based violence to authorities.
The National Police Service is currently in the process of developing a multi-sectoral one-stop center as an initiative to respond to SGBV.
He also urged parents to keenly monitor the activities of their children during the current coronavirus pandemic. Those seeking to report such cases can do so through a toll-free Kenya Police Service number 08007 30999. Caroline Kamar reporting for Channel 1 News.
Now we are taking you to West Pokot County, where residents are staring at possible starvation following an invasion of desert locusts, which have destroyed crops across several farms within the county. Over 30,000 acres of farmland has been destroyed, with West Pokot North, Sigor and Pokot Central sub-counties being the worst hit. Have a look. It is testing times for residents of West Pokot County, who are now struggling to cope with the twin threats of the coronavirus pandemic and a locust invasion. The residents decrying the massive destruction caused to their crops by the desert locusts, which continue to wreak havoc in the area.
Hii invasion tumeshuhudia ni kubwa sana. Ni kubwa ambayo hatujawahi shuhudia hapo awali. Hata na zile za kwanza zilikuja na zikawa zinapita. Lakini hizi zimekuja na zimeamua kutulia. Zimesettle tu kwa mashamba. Kwa hivyo tunahitaji huduma ya dharura kabisa.
Several farms in Lokitanyala, Alale, Talam, Mosop, Togomo, Amolem, Akiriamet, Kaakong and Lumut villages have been destroyed.
Locusts have invaded Alale, specifically a location called Lokitanyala, for the last 1 week. Na zimekuwa zikikula mashamba za watu, aswa mimea zile ndogo ndogo na zaidi maharage.
Led by their leaders, the residents are blaming the Ministry of Agriculture over what they term a slow response in dealing with the locust menace in the area, even after more than 30,000 acres of farmland has been destroyed.
Tulipata kwamba West Pokot County haijaweka katika wale watafaidika kwa Emergency Response on Locust Program, which is funded by World Bank. Na walisema ati West Pokot labda locust hawatafika huku. Lakini tunapoongea hivi sasa locust wako na imemaliza sehemu mingi sana ya mifugo ya mimea, sorry.
The residents are calling for quick intervention to avert a looming starvation.
It is likely that if action is not taken quickly, this place will be food insecure. The farmers are likely to lose all that they planted during the planting season.
County ya West Pokot iwe included katika hiyo program ya Emergency Locust Response Program.
Allow us now to take our very first break right here on KBC Lunchtime News. Please don't go too far. We still have more lined up for you on the other side. We really appreciate you staying with us now. Moving on, churches across the country resumed their church service with calls to abide by the set guidelines dominating proceedings at the Holy Family Basilica. John Cardinal Njue urged the congregations to strictly observe the guidelines in an effort to flatten the COVID-19 infection in the country.
After churches resumed their Sunday sermons with a few worshippers allowed in places of worship, owing to the risk posed by coronavirus, focus now appears to have shifted to the faithful who, through church leadership, have been urged to adhere to the Ministry of Health guidelines. At Holy Family Basilica, John Cardinal Njue, who led the Sunday Mass of the 16th calendar of the Catholic Church, called on the congregation to observe the guidelines to allow for quick resumption of all church services that would see all age groups attend Sunday sermons.
Is an improvement from where we were until last Sunday. Kwa hivyo, msisahau.
During the day's message from the book of Romans, Njue urged the congregation to give support to those recuperating from COVID-19.
Tumuulize Mungu aweze kusaidia wale ambao ni wagonjwa, na wale ambao wengine wana taabu mbalimbali akae pia karibu na wao.
Kwa hivyo tuendelee kuombea wale wako nyumbani, wale ambao ni wagonjwa, wale ambao wanataabika wakati huu kwa sababu ya janga hili. Kwa hivyo tuendelee kuwaombea na wasione kama wametengwa, wajue ya kwamba bado Mungu yuko pamoja nao.
At All Saints Cathedral, Provost Sami Wainaina, whose preaching focused on the renewal of spiritual relationship with Christ, urged Christians to have unwavering faith in God despite the current challenges.
We can stand strong and win. I don't know what is your experience this morning. I don't know what you're going through this morning. Maybe you are a believer who has never known the abundance of God, and the only menu they can go for is mandazi and chai, when God has given them the riches of even heaven, and they can access it because they are called into a life of grace. I don't know whether you are there and you're a believer and you have never known your right position with God. It's not a place of pride. It's a place of humility to receive God's grace and to enjoy God's grace.
And a section of Kilifi leaders are faulting the proposed county revenue sharing formula, saying that it will disadvantage coastal region counties. Led by Kilifi Senator Stewart Madzayo and Malindi Member of Parliament Aisha Jumwa, the leaders argue that if enacted in its current form, the coastal region stands to lose about 8 billion shillings, with Kilifi and Kwale counties losing over 1 billion shillings each. Nancy Okware tells us why.
The current impasse on the proposed revenue sharing formula for counties seems far from over, with the Commission on Revenue Allocation on the receiving end. Kilifi Senator Stewart Madzayo and Malindi legislator Aisha Jumwa have faulted the new formula, saying that if implemented, then the coastal region stands to lose billions of shillings.
Imekuwaje sasa Kilifi mnasema tupoteze bilioni 1.2, alafu watu kama Mandera ambao hata barabara hakuna, hospitali hakuna, university hakuna, mashule ya kitaifa, national schools hakuna, munawapokonya 2 billion. Kaunti ya Kwale inapoteza bilioni 1.1. Kaunti ya Mombasa inapoteza 900, karibu bilioni nzima.
Mimi kama mnavyonijua tayari watu wanasema mimi ni muasi. Mimi ni rebel katika chama cha ODM kwa sababu ya kusimama na ukweli. Formula ambayo inatumika, kaunti zote za pwani zinaenda kupoteza takriban bilioni 8.
Madzayo reiterated that he had rejected the bill in the Senate as the formula used to allocate funds to the devolved units did not favor areas that desperately needed more funding for development.
Hakuna mahali imeandikwa katika katiba ya Kenya ya kwamba pesa zikitolewa seneta apige makofi na kaunti yake imekosa pesa. Haitawezekana hiyo.
He added that the suspension of the debate on the bill by the Senate would give senators ample time to ponder on the matter, leading to a favorable solution. The new formula seeks to have counties allocated funds based on their population, with those with a large landmass but lower population receiving less funding. Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
Thank you, Nancy, for that report. Now, the National Hygiene Program targeting jobless youth has become a recipe for restoring peace and security in Likoni and Kisauni sub-counties. Likoni sub-county has been notorious for harboring juvenile teen criminal gangs, while Kisauni has been known to harbor the machete-wielding gang Wakali Kwanza.
Over 3,000 youth drawn from Kisauni and Likoni sub-counties in Mombasa County are reaping the fruits of their hard-earned labor after they were enlisted in the National Hygiene Program, championed by the national government in a bid to mitigate the high level of unemployment among the youth. The initiative now receiving praise from Kisauni and Likoni sub-county administrators. The two saying the initiative has boosted security levels in the two regions after the youth found an alternative means of earning daily wage without necessarily having to involve themselves in criminal activities.
Baada ya kuwa na vijana hawa, wamekuwa watulivu. Wengi wameacha sasa kwenda kwa sehemu zile ambazo ni za burudani. Pia vile vile uhalifu unaenda chini. Matumizi ya madawa pia natumai yataenda chini vilivyo, kwa sababu hawana ule wakati ambapo wanaweza kurandaranda na kufanya ujambazi mwingi ama visa vingi vya uhuni.
Na tukubaliana ya kwamba pesa watakazopata kutokana na kazi hii wataweza kuzitumia vizuri kuwekeza, na tunaamini ya kwamba Kisauni siku za hapo baadaye, nyuma kidogo, kulikuwa na taswira ilikuwa imechorwa hapa mbaya, vijana ambao kidogo kwa upande wa nidhamu ilikuwa sio mzuri, na kulikuwa na wengine ambao walikuwa nahusika upande wa crime sana, lakini tunaamini mradi huu sasa utaenda kuwabandilisha wengi. Wale ambao labda walikuwa wanahusika kwa njia moja ama nyingine tunawaleta hapa, na kufuatia ushauri wetu wataweza kujisaidia kutokana na pesa kidogo ambazo watapokea kutoka hapa.
The administrators say the environmental activities in the informal settlements are aimed at getting rid of filth and prevent coronavirus outbreak in vulnerable areas. For the beneficiaries, The Kazi Mtaani program has come as a welcome relief after a majority of them who are rendered jobless after the coronavirus pandemic took a toll on the country's economy.
Tunaomba serikali izidi kutuangalia kama vijana, izidi kutuletea kazi zaidi na zaidi, ili tunapojiingiza katika kazi, mengi yatatuepuka yale machafu. Vita vya uhalifu na nini vyote vitapungua.
Tunaambiwa hii kazi ni ya miezi 6. Kama ingewezekana pia watuongezee, manake tunaona bado vijana wanahitaji. Tunaona vijana bado wana uhitaji wa hii kazi. Manake hata kuna wengine wako nje. Japokuwa ni wengi, ndio tunashukuru ni wengi waliandikwa, lakini bado vijana wengi zaidi wako nje.
Ningewasihi sana wenzangu vijana wakapata kuwekeza hizi pesa vizuri. Tusizitumie ovyo ovyo.
Yusuf Farr, Channel 1 News.
And a family in Kiamba Village, Kiambu County, is in need of financial support to enable them clear a 700,000 shillings medical bill at the Kenyatta National Hospital, where their 6-month-old baby is being treated for acute pneumonia. According to his father, Francis Kago, the medical bill is still rising, with their son yet to fully recover.
For the family of Francis Kago, life has never been the same since May this year. Kago's 6-month-old son fell sick and was admitted at the Kenyatta National Hospital, where he has been in the intensive care unit until recently when he was moved to an acute room. Despite the infant responding to medication, the boy now needs surgery to correct his throat as he was feeding through a pipe.
Due to the duration when he has been using pipes to feed on, his garret has not gone back to its normal position. It has remained open, and unlike the way it's supposed to close immediately you swallow food.
Kago, who is a tailor, is now calling on well-wishers to help him settle the bill, which is currently at 700,000 shillings and is still rising since his son is still under treatment at the hospital.
Plead with them to help us, even if they could help us secure a job to pay the bills and to cater for my young family, because the challenges are very many, and being a hustler, it is very tough when you have a medical case.
Well-wishers can send their contributions through Safaricom Pay Bill number 8015411 with the name Ndungu Kago Medical Fund as the account number. For Channel 1 News, I am Emily K. Badi.
It's now time for us to focus on some sports and news. Now, Arsenal will face either Chelsea or Manchester United in the final of the FA Cup after beating holders Manchester City 2-0 in the first semi-final at Wembley Stadium last night. The second final place will be determined tonight when United face Chelsea in the second semi-final, and the two winners will face off in the final at the same venue on the 1st of August.
Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta outmaneuvered his mentor Pep Guardiola as the Gunners reached the FA Cup final with victory at Wembley. Arteta, who left his job as Manchester City assistant manager to succeed Unai Emery at Arsenal in December, now has a chance to mark his first season in charge with major silverware when they face Chelsea or Manchester United in the final on 1st August. The match winner was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, the world-class striker Arsenal are desperate to secure on a new long-term contract, as he ruthlessly exposed City's defensive deficiencies. Their opponents will be decided tonight when Chelsea face Manchester United at the same venue. United left-back Luke Shaw will miss the semi-final against Chelsea after failing to recover from an ankle problem. Shaw's fellow defender Brandon Williams should be fit after a facial injury. Midfielder N'Golo Kante will miss a 4th successive game for Chelsea because of a hamstring injury. Scottish midfielder Billy Gilmour is out for the remainder of the season following knee surgery. Sergio Romero has been in goal for United's cup games, but Solskjaer refused to confirm whether he or striker Jesse Lingard will be involved at Wembley.
Remember, we will be bringing that game between Chelsea and Manchester United for you live right here on KBC Channel 1 tonight. Courtesy of that, our 9 p.m. bulletin will be affected, but you can catch the latest happenings in the country in our comprehensive news bulletin, Darubini, at 7 p.m. My name is Serfine Achieng. Have a lovely afternoon.